Updating you on our breaking news, former President Donald Trump has just revealed on Truth Social that he will turn himself in. He will be arrested in Georgia, 7:30 Eastern time tonight. Security is already extraordinarily tight outside the Fulton County Jail. Pro-Trump demonstrators have been forced to stay across the street from the jail. Turnout has been relatively small, dozens as opposed to hundreds, which may be due in part to this, a conspiracy theory among conservatives on social media that the rally itself could be a setup by the FBI to target and arrest Trump supporters.
America is the greatest country in the world. We just have an unfair regime running the current administration that is an evil force.
I want to bring in NBC's Ryan Riley, who wrote about this. Frank Figliuzzi, former assistant director for counterintelligence at the FBI and an MSNBC national security analyst, we're happy to have here in studio. So, Ryan, you've been looking into these conspiracy theories, theorists saying this protest in Atlanta is a big setup. What's going on there?
Yeah, you know, it's surprising because I think a lot of Trump supporters sort of greatly overestimate the FBI's size and capabilities and practices generally. And a lot of this grows out of the January 6th attack itself, because you constantly have a lot of these theories thrown out there about how, oh, these were undercover actors or working on behalf of the government in some capacity. The best example I can point to recently was the recent arrest of an individual named Rally Runner. He's actually a St. Louis Cardinals fan who ran around the stadium during home games there. And back in 2021, on Tucker Carlson's former Fox News show, a January 6th lawyer, a right-wing activist, was on there and saying that this individual was clearly a law enforcement officer and saying this was an agent provocateur who is, you know, riling up the mob that day and causing them to do things they wouldn't otherwise do. Lo and behold, Rally Runner was identified by online sleuths. I wrote about it back then, and now we finally have an arrest. And this was an individual who was interviewed by the FBI immediately after January 6th, but at the time, the Bureau was not fully aware of all of his activities that day. And now, after all this video has come out as a result of these January 6 cases, we can pretty much follow everything he does and see him holding that police shield, charging the line, and you're really taking part in this assault that took place at the western side of the Capitol in the tunnel, where some of the most violent action that day took place. So I think that's really illustrative of just the broader issue here, which is that a lot of MAGA supporters, a lot of Trump supporters really do think that a lot of this is just a setup, and that the FBI is sort of pulling all of the strings behind the scene here, even if that's really out of step with reality. What it ultimately ends up doing is sort of suppressing some of these rallies that take place, just because people are sort of so scared of their own shadows, and that there's members of the FBI or Antifa infiltrating these pro-Trump demonstrations. Chris.